So a few weeks ago, there was some buzz over an obscure French cartoon called Littlebrownbear. I have never heard of this show before, and I'm sure most of you watching haven't either. So this trend seems pretty random, but once people saw clips of this show, they couldn't stop talking about it. Why? Well, because this cartoon may have dethroned Caillou as the worst kids show ever, and Littlebrownbear might be a bigger brat than the Bold Demon. Now you're probably thinking, you're kidding, right? Oh, you naive fools, living in ignorant bliss. Allow me to introduce you to the monstrosity otherwise known as Littlebrownbear.
But I'm not cold, I want to stay outside. No, leave me alone. You're so horrible. Really horrible. You're so mean, you're so mean, you're so mean.
And that was barely scratching the surface. Let's go a little more in depth into this show to see how it and the title character had become so infamous in a short amount of time. But before we do so, I'd like to ask you to give this video a like, share, and comment. Also, subscribe to my channel and hit the bell for notifications, as it'll help me get noticed by YouTube's algorithm. Anyway, with that said, let's rip Littlebrownbear into shreds. Well, I guess there's no better place to start than the very first episode, Littlebrownbear Gets Up Early. So in this episode, Littlebrownbear, yeah, he doesn't have an actual name, probably because his parents figured that he doesn't deserve one, is up early, as the title of this episode states. He then barges into his parents' room and wakes them up by turning on the lights. And even after his mom tells him it's too early and to go back to bed, it's not long before he runs right back to his parents, because he just has to show them this amazing block castle he built. Okay, even a kid would know that this is a lame tower, and that their parents will only pretend to like it out of obligation. It is certainly not worth waking them up again, causing them to lose even more sleep just to see this pathetic piece of construction. When Littlebrownbear's father gets understandably pissed at him for turning on the lights a second time, the furry brat has the nerve to complain about his parents wanting to sleep. And in a massive display of entitlement, he whines about being bored. Littlebrownbear then decides to make breakfast for them, which sounds nice until he drops and breaks a bottle of orange juice. And when his dad comes into the kitchen looking cross, Littlebrownbear starts crying and gives a fake apology, as he is clearly more upset over the thought of getting into trouble than he is for making a mess. And of course, this manipulation tactic works on his passive dad. But I mean, come on, did anyone really think he actually have it in him to scold his son, with how weak his warning to him earlier sounded?
The next time that you come in and wake us up, Littlebrownbear, I will lose my temper.
Daddy then tells Littlebrownbear that he'll clean up his mess for him. Although if Cheery Healer can get her 4-year-old daughter to clean up her own mess, then Daddy should get Littlebrownbear to mop up the juice. After all of the glass is cleared up, of course. Seriously, why was the orange juice in a glass bottle? If Littlebrownbear is truly sorry, then he should be willing to learn some responsibility, instead of having his parents fix all of the problems that he creates. Daddy then tells Littlebrownbear to go wake up his mom, yet again, instead of going to his room while he takes care of breakfast. But when he is finished, he finds that Littlebrownbear has fallen asleep, all while his parents, whom he has been waking up all morning, are now forced to stay awake. Okay, what's the secret purpose of this show? To turn people off from having kids? If so, then they successfully convinced me. Anyway, that was already a bad start to the series. However, it only gets worse from here. Case in point, the next episode we'll be discussing Littlebrownbear argues with mommy, which is probably how most people discovered this hell spawn. So in this episode, Littlebrownbear decides to do some gardening with flowers that have already been cut. And in the rain. Why?
Hey pal, you just blowing from Stupid Town?
And when his mom takes him inside, he throws this tantrum that has become iconic.
Enough.
You're so horrible. Really horrible.
No, you're the one who's horrible. Now calm down, little bear. I've got work to do.
At first you might think, well, that's just a kid being a brat, which is normal. And that this episode will end with him learning his lesson, right?
Wrong!
Instead, Littlebrownbear gets rewarded with apple pie, despite never apologizing. And this isn't the only example of an episode ending without moral. There's also Littlebrownbear does some painting, where he decides to paint all over the walls, assuming that's okay since his dad mentioned that he was going to repaint them at some point. However, he also gets paint on the front door and furniture. And does his mom scold him for this? Nope. She can only stare and look on in despair, as the narrator puts it.
He enjoys himself without a care, but mommy can only stare and look on in despair.
Yeah, it makes sense why this cartoon has been frequently compared to Caillou, as you have a kid who misbehaves and throws temper tantrums, and his parents don't even attempt to discipline him due to being completely spineless pushovers. If you thought Boris Anderson was weak at scolding his son, even when he does something as serious as hurting his newborn sister, just watch how Little Brown Bear's father deals with him when he acts out.
Now I'm starting to get angry, Little Bear.
Also, side note, Little Brown Bear has what might be the most annoying voice in the history of media. I mean, just listen to it.
But why not? You never want to buy me anything. But I'm hungry. I want a cake right now. You're horrible, you are.
Not only is it so shrill that it's guaranteed to burst the eardrums of any poor soul unfortunate enough to hear it, but it just sounds so odd. I don't think I've heard such a weird voice from a child character up until now. This may be an issue unique to the English dub of this show, as it was originally made in France. But still, who in their right mind thought that this was a suitable sound for this character? Now back to the topic at hand. Yes, it's common for kids to act like a brat, which is why the purpose of these sorts of shows is to teach them what good behavior is. Except Little Brown Bear doesn't even do that. Not only does this show indulge temper tantrums, but it's not even the slightest bit entertaining, as it has nothing else going for it. The episodes are short, only clocking in about 3 minutes at the most, and barely anything happens in them. It's just the most mundane experiences a kid goes through, like going to a store with parents, or not wanting to go to bed. But whereas most kids shows, for example Bluey, are able to make slice-of-life situations genuinely enjoyable and endearing for people of all ages, Little Brown Bear has no substance to it. My question is, if shows like these just depict situations that a kid will inevitably experience in real life, without teaching them valuable lessons, or even entertaining them, then what's the point of giving them unnecessary screen time? Okay, I know this makes me sound like an anti-television old fart, but come on, you know I'm right. Don't get me wrong, there are definitely plenty of ways to make a bratty character work, without irritating the audience. Take for example, Muppet Healer from Bluey. As with the exception of the episode Charades, the writing staff of the series managed to utilize her bratty attitude to make her come across as hilarious, rather than annoying. And despite her spoiled nature, it's clear that she does have a genuinely good heart, and is actually capable of learning. Other examples that come to mind are the book characters, Junie B. Jones, and Little Critter, whose stories are focused less on teaching young readers lessons, and instead focuses more on entertainment and relatability, and they succeed at doing so with flying colors. This is largely thanks to the strong personalities of these two characters, who feel like authentic portrayals of children, which is why their antics come across as entertaining rather than annoying. And finally, there's Horridhenry, who, despite being a massive troublemaker, has endeared himself to many people, mainly because he's surrounded by far more malicious characters, who are actively cruel towards him, and thus many can empathize with what he's going through. However, Little Brown Bear has zero redeeming qualities. He's just a straight up brat, who is annoying to watch and never learns his lesson. And this show is just straight up bad with nothing to offer. Do your kids a favor and avoid having them see this, and instead show them something that's actually good. And I think this is a good point to wrap things up. Thank you for watching this video. So if you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a like, share, and comment. Also subscribe to my channel and hit the bell for notifications. Anyway, see ya!